Dorothy and her friends were at first dazzled by the brilliancy of the wonderful city. The streets were lined with beautiful houses, all built of green marble and studded everywhere with sparkling emeralds. They walked over a pavement of the same green marble, and where the blocks were joined together were rows of emeralds, set closely and glittering in the brightness of the sun. The window panes were of green glass. Even the sky above the city had a green tint, and the rays of the sun were green. There were many people, men, women and children, walking about, dressed in green clothes with green skin. Many shops stood in the street, and Dorothy saw everything in them was green. Green candy, green popcorn were all offered for sale, as well as green shoes, green hats, green clothes of all sorts. The guardian of the gates led them through the streets until they came to a big building, exactly in the middle of the city, which was the Palace of Oz, the Great Wizard. There was a soldier before the door, dressed in a green uniform and wearing a long green beard. "Here are the strangers," said the guardian of the gates to him. "They demand to see the Great Oz." They passed through the palace gates and were led into a big room with a green carpet and lovely green furniture set with emeralds. The soldier made them wipe their feet upon a green mat before entering the room, and when they were seated, he politely said, "Please make yourselves comfortable while I go to the door of the throne room and tell Oz you are here." They had to wait a long time before the soldier returned. When at last he came back, Dorothy asked, "Have you seen Oz?" "Oh no," returned the soldier, "I have never seen him. But I spoke to him as he sat behind his screen and gave him your message. He said he will grant you an audience if you so desire. But each one of you must enter his presence alone, and he will admit only one person each day. Therefore you must remain in the palace for several days. I will have you shown to rooms where you may rest in comfort." "Thank you," replied Dorothy. "That is very kind of Oz." The soldier now blew upon a green whistle, and at once a young girl dressed in a pretty green silk gown entered the room. She had lovely green hair and green eyes, and she bowed low before Dorothy as she said, "Follow me and I will show you to your room." So Dorothy said goodbye to all her friends except Toto, and taking the dog in her arms, followed the green girl through 7 passages and up 3 flights of stairs until they came to a room at the front of the palace. These she also led to their rooms, and each one found himself lodged in a very pleasant part of the palace. Of course, this politeness was wasted on the Scarecrow, who found himself alone in his room. He stood stupidly in one spot just within the doorway to wait until morning. It would not rest him to lie down, and he could not close his eyes, so he remained all night staring at a little spider which was weaving its web in a corner. The Tin Man lay down on his bed from force of habit, for he remembered when he was made of flesh, but not being able to sleep, he passed the night moving his joints up and down to make sure they kept in good working order. The Lion would have preferred a bed of dried leaves in the forest, and did not like being shut up in a room, but he had too much sense to let this worry him. The next morning after breakfast, the Green Maiden came to fetch Dorothy, and she dressed in one of the prettiest gowns made of green brocaded satin. Dorothy put on a green silk apron and tied a green ribbon around Toto's neck, and they started for the throne room of the Great Oz. First they came to a great hall in which were many ladies and gentlemen of the court, all dressed in rich costumes. These people had nothing to do but talk to each other, but they always came to wait outside the throne room every morning, although they were never permitted to see Oz. As Dorothy entered, they looked at her curiously, and one of them whispered, "Are you really going to look upon the face of Oz the Terrible?" "Of course," answered the girl, "if he will see me." "Oh, he will see you," said the soldier, who had taken her message to the wizard, although he does not like to have people ask to see him. Indeed, at first he was angry and said I should send you back where you came from. Then he asked me what you looked like, and when I mentioned your silver shoes, he was very much interested. At last I told him about the mark upon your forehead, and he decided he would admit you to his presence. Just then a bell rang, and the green girl said to Dorothy, "That is the signal. You must go into the throne room alone." She opened a little door, and Dorothy walked boldly through and found herself in a wonderful place. It was a big round room with a high arched roof, and the walls and ceiling and floor were covered with large emeralds set closely together. In the centre of the roof was a great light, as bright as the sun, which made the emeralds sparkle in a wonderful manner. But what interested Dorothy most was the big throne of green marble that stood in the middle of the room. It was shaped like a chair and sparkled with gems, as did everything else. In the centre of the chair was an enormous head.
I am Oz, the Great and Terrible. Who are you, and why do you seek me?
I am Dorothy, the small and meek. I have come to you for help.
Where did you get the silver shoes?
I got them from the Wicked Witch of the East, where my house fell on her and killed her.
What do you wish me to do?
Send me back to Kansas, where my Aunt Em and Uncle Henry are.
Why should I do this for you?
Because you are strong and I am weak. Because you are a great wizard and I am only a little girl.
But you were strong enough to kill the Wicked Witch of the East.
That just happened. I could not help it.
You must do something for me first. If you help me, I'll help you.
What must I do?
Kill the Wicked Witch of the West.
But I cannot. I have never killed anything willingly. Even if I wanted to, how could I kill the Wicked Witch? If you, who are great and terrible, cannot kill her yourself, how do you expect me to do it?
I do not know, but this is my answer. Until you kill the Wicked Witch, you will not see your aunt or uncle.
Sorrowfully, Dorothy left the throne room and went back where the lion and the scarecrow and the tin man were waiting to hear what Oz had said to her. "There is no hope for me," she said sadly, "for Oz will not send me home until I have killed the Wicked Witch of the West, and that I can never do."